might just get going. I'm sure others will join us as the session progresses, but I don't want to keep you waiting for too long. So just a very warm welcome to everybody. Hello, my name is Andrea. I am the Slow Coach. I'm based in Sydney and just very pleased that you could make it here tonight. It's going to give me great pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague Anya in just a few minutes. But before I do, I hope you'll indulge me. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the Slow Coach. And hopefully you can see this on your screens now. Please will someone let me know in the chat if this isn't working. So the Slow Coach it's an idea really, a coaching service and a community that was formed in response to what I perceive as a need in the running community to just have a bit of a bigger discussion about running, not necessarily always focused on metrics. The running community is actually incredibly inclusive and welcoming and supportive, but it doesn't always feel that way when you're on the outside, mostly because runners talk about things that are incessantly measurable. Let's get faster, let's get stronger, let's get better. Let's talk about PBs and race times and negative splits and all those kinds of conversations, which just can be really, really intimidating and are quite a narrow part of the picture. So unless you are really running for personal achievement on the track or on the race, you potentially could miss out on all the amazing things that running offers. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how fast you're going. Running is an avenue to making new friends. It's a way to connect with joy and personal pride. It's a way to find time on your feet and time alone and time to think. It's a form of meditation. Depending on your point of view, it's even a form of prayer. Running connects your head to the sky and your feet to the ground, and it moves you forward, and it gives you a way of feeling proud of yourself. And those are all things that I would love the world to know about running, and that's not necessarily always featured on the covers of running magazines or in the mainstream running media. So at the Slow Coach, pace is never our primary focus, and we make sure that you are welcome regardless of your level, your ability, your background. Has nothing to do with why we run. On a very little quiet personal note, I'm also proud to say the Slow Coach is a finalist in the Hornsby Ku-ring-gai Local Business Awards, as is Anya and her Go for Fit service, and she'll tell us about that in a moment. So once they were friends, now they are rivals. But get onto that later. Our Running Behind group. So for those of you who are joining me from Sydney, if you are interested in running together when we can, there's a little image of us on the St Ives Village Green taken quite recently. We are a local group. We train on a Monday at 6 a.m, on a Thursday at 9:15 when we're allowed to. You can come to one session or you can come to both. Babies, children and dogs are always welcome. We include them in the training. I know that having kids at home can sometimes be, hard to juggle all the things. So by all means, just bring them with you. As I've already said, all levels and all abilities. Now, if you're dialing in from further afield, or if you're not interested in personal group training, there is also an online membership. As I said, our ground running package, like all of my offerings, are very much focused on the back of the packer, the every runner. It's got nothing to do with pace. At the moment, our annual membership is only $55 for a year, and for the time being includes a one-on-one consultation, lots of community support, which I'll get to in a moment, and some really awesome discounts on races and gear and more. It also includes a knowledge center, which has been specifically created for runners like us. Running membership packages are a dime a dozen. There are literally millions of them, and they are all fantastic. But in my experience, they all universally make assumptions about things like doing a tempo run at 5 minutes a kilometer, or do a 2 kilometer warm-up run, or a 30-minute strength training session. And not always mindful of the fact that that isn't in everybody's realm of possible. So ground running is a membership package that is specifically created for bigger, slower, older and injured runners. And it makes no assumptions whatsoever. And there are plans that will get you from the couch to your first 2K, your first 5, your first 10, your first half, and even a sub 30-minute 5K if that's your thing. Now, being part of the Slow Coach community, I'm proud to say, gives you some pretty awesome discounts. So while I haven't done the exact maths, I'm pretty sure that the discounts alone will cover your membership. So at the moment, we offer 10% off all Run Faster gear, 20% off all Abby and Joseph gear, 10% off Active Truth. If you are local to the St. Ives area, the incredible team at the Shoe Guru in St. Ives Village Shopping Centre offer you 10% off if you train with me. And there are also a huge range of race discounts at the moment to most of the main races on the Australian running calendar and a couple of international ones as well. And I also do fairly regular product recommendations. Now, since we can't train in groups, you do have the option to do some one-on-one run training with me. I am a registered COVID safe business and an accredited run coach with Athletics Australia. I am very proud of what is a very personalized focus. I'll take into account your body, your logistics, the time in your day, what you're training for, what's important to you, all those things. And I will create something very special for you that will get you to your finish line. Usually one-on-one coaching includes 30 minutes of warm-up, strength and mobility work, and then 30 minutes of running alongside you, pacing you, whether that's in a walk-run combination or running to a particular pace metric that you have in mind. It'll always be a bespoke training plan, and your one-on-one package will always include access to all the available discounts that I've already mentioned. At the moment, one-on-one training is $60 per session, and you can access that through my Run with the Slow Coach website. So I'm nearly at the end of the commercial. Thank you for your patience. Just very quickly, training with me is your gateway to a really supportive community, some really awesome people. When we can, we also do what we call our social runs. Those are free social runs around the local streets, always finishing with a coffee, because everyone knows coffee is the most important part of any training program. There is also a pretty cool WhatsApp group where you can organize a running buddy or ask a running related question. There is our Slow Learners webinar series, which at the moment is taking place roughly every fortnight or so. A monthly newsletter and access to all the webinar recordings. So if you have any questions, if you'd like to book, or if you just like to find out more, please visit Run with the Slow Coach, or just send us a quick email at hello@runwiththeslowcoach. So thanks again, commercial break over. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Anya Lenine. Anya and I actually met when we started high school together on the other side of the world in a little town called Kloof, just north of Durban in South Africa. The equivalent of about year 6, I think, we would have enrolled together, and we've been friends ever since. We didn't plan to immigrate to the same country, but we are, well, I don't know about Anya, but really pleased that we ended up here together. Anya is also a trained personal trainer as well as a wellness coach. And it's actually her that I can credit with getting me off the couch when I decided I wanted to start running. I had just come through a very quite a traumatic and difficult pregnancy. I'd gained a lot of weight. I lacked a lot of confidence. And Anya talked me around the field at West Pymble for a couple of months, where we literally walked for a minute and ran for a minute, I think, or walked from one corner and ran to the other corner of the field. And she talked at me because I wasn't capable of talking back. I was so out of breath. But really, it's thanks to Anya that I got up and running, and that I kept running, and essentially that we're all here tonight. So, Anne, I owe you a lot. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say about running over the hill. Aging and menopause is quite a factor in my life at the moment. If anyone wants a live demonstration on hot flushes, I'll put that on in a few minutes. So really grateful for your time and your insights, and can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Do you know what you say that I got you running, and I might have helped you along the way, but this is the same with anybody who comes to my classes, and I get quite emotional about this because it's up to you ultimately. You know, I can show people the way, I can give you the training, I can give you the advice, but ultimately it's up to you to make that choice. And you know, so you mentioned the personal training, which I've been doing for over 14 years. And in the last few years, my focus has shifted to menopause, partly because it was something that I started experiencing. And I love helping women, you know, make better choices through the knowledge that they have, or that they can then acquire. And my line is, you know, your choices matter, because that is ultimately it. So yes, I can say to you, you know, this is how you run, a bit like you know, this is how you can start running, or this is how you can start training. But ultimately it's your choice whether you do that or not, because nobody can really force you to do that. So your choices matter has really become a big sort of subject, I guess, for me. And that's a big part of the menopause as well. So I've launched a natural menopause program, which looks at all the lifestyle factors that we can implement and change or not change, which will then influence how we experience menopause. And just a quick story there, what got me started along that track was, I'm a personal trainer. I get hot and sweaty a lot, but I was having some different experiences of getting hot and sweaty. And it took me a while to twig that these were probably hot flushes. And then I listened in on another information session about hormones and all these things. And somebody said, oh, you know, you can develop a dairy intolerance. So not an allergy, but, you know, dairy intolerances can come up at this time. And at the time I was eating a lot of Greek yogurt. You know, it's great, it's got calcium, it's got protein, it's really good for you, and it was really yummy. And I thought, oh, I'll just go cold turkey and cut all the Greek yogurt out. Now this is purely my experience, it's anecdotal, there's no scientific basis to this, other than I suddenly noticed within a week or two that hot flushes had gone. And that was my first indicator that what we eat, how we exercise, how we think, all those things play such a huge role in our experience of menopause. So obviously today we are going to be talking about exercise and running in particular with menopause. So if I can get you guys just to fill in the chat box whether you are a runner. I've seen a few of my members are here as well today. I know some of you have run in the past or not. So just quickly jot in whether you're a runner, whether you do any strength exercise. So whether that can be lifting weights, using bands, body weight exercises, so push-ups, squats, any of those things. And then maybe if you do any other exercise. Cool. So the thing is, as we look at any stage in life, exercise is really a non-negotiable. All right, so we've got runners, walkers, used to do strength, cyclists, not enough strength. Okay, cool. Awesome. Walking, no strength. New runners, some exercises. Fabulous. Yeah. Okay, so everyone's doing something, which is brilliant. All right, so you'll all know what Andrea just put so eloquently, and so, you know, she's the wordsmith, but it's just that feel good, you know, and that's what you've got to remember, because on those days where you really don't want to exercise, you can't rely on motivation, because unfortunately motivation is the last thing that's going to keep you going. It'll start you off maybe, but ultimately just taking action, and your choices matter. So, you know, it's your choice. What if you get up and exercise, it'll take you towards your goal, or if you choose not to, it'll take you away from your goal. So that's a really simple way of looking at it. But exercise is a non-negotiable. So the key there is then to find what works for you. So women in their 40s to their 60s are crazy busy. You'll all know this. You know, there's your career starts to reach a peak in your sort of 40s to 50s. So there are promotions, or you're running your own business. You know, there's all that career stuff going on. There are families. We've usually still got children at home. We might have parents to care for. We're trying to keep a partnership going. You know, there's all of that. Then there are friends that you want to try and see. Not at the moment. And unfortunately, we put ourselves at the bottom of our to-do list. We're terrible at this, all right? And then menopause starts to hit as well. And then that doesn't help either. So, you know, just yesterday I had a conversation with a friend who has gone from running her own hugely successful business, which completely stressed her out. She then went back to corporate, to a job that ended up being really stressful. And 18 months later now, she's been made redundant. And she is so grateful because she'd reached burnout. She'd put herself at the bottom of her to-do list. And it's that classic thing of, you know, nobody's going to write on your gravestone, she worked really hard, or, you know, she was a great boss, or she was a great employee. It's, you've got to look after yourself. And I also think you've got to show the rest of the world how you want to be treated. So you can be showing your family that I'm going to go and exercise because it's important for me to feel better if I exercise. Plus, you'll benefit from the fact that I'll come home happier. So that'll make the family a happier place. You know, I really think we owe it to ourselves to show the world how we want to be treated. And we start by treating ourselves better and making better choices for ourselves. So coming back to that menopause thing, it can start from your early 40s when you're hitting perimenopause, and that can last up to 10 years. All right, there's a range, as there is with anything, but 2 to 10 years, it's when our hormones start to fluctuate. It's, you know, it's the flip side of puberty, and it's the shifts in the hormone levels that cause our symptoms. All right, so the extreme highs and lows of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all those things start to bring out those symptoms. And, you know, there's the typical ones are having trouble sleeping. So you either can't get to sleep, or you wake up and can't get back to sleep. There's weight gain, brain fog, aching joints, hot flushes, all these kinds of things. And as I said before, our lifestyle factors have a big impact on these things, and exercise plays a huge role in how you experience menopause. All right, so you're never too old to start exercising. I know most of you guys all do exercise already, so that's fantastic. So keep exercising. But the type of exercise we do is going to change as we get older. You know, I nearly gave myself a frozen shoulder last year during lockdown because I was doing so much exercise. So then I had to change. And rather than going, my shoulder hurts, so I'm not going to do anything, I just modified what I did. All right. So anyone who's done any of my classes, you know that if I ever give you a shoulder exercise, I'll give you an option to do something else if your shoulder doesn't, you know, because we are going to get injured along the way. And just because one body part is sore doesn't mean the rest of your body can't move. All right. So we've just got to keep moving. It's really, really important. Sorry, just a minute. Finding something that you enjoy is really going to be crucial to keeping going. Kind of, it sounds really obvious, but you know, so many people go, oh, I should run. As well, if you don't like running, don't run, because you'll make yourself miserable. You'll probably injure yourself. But you know, I'm speaking to the converted here. I'm a runner as well. I love it. It's easy in that you only need a good pair of shoes and you can go out wherever you are. And it brings all those benefits that Andrea spoke about. So if you're running, that's great, because that cardio exercise is so important for your heart health. It's good for your bone density. All right. So as we get older, I mean, from your 30s onwards, we start to lose bone density. So we really need to look after our bones. So running's really good for your bone density. It's an impact exercise. So any exercise that boxing, you know, anything that creates impact or anything that pulls on your bones. So strength training is going to help your bone density. So keep going on the running, definitely. But I'm going to urge you to add in strength training and some mindfulness training. Now, I know Andrea incorporates strength training into all of her sessions, so she knows how important that is. And it's not only for the bone density side of things, but it's going to strengthen your muscles. Again, sounds obvious, but you know, you need really powerful glutes, those are your butt muscles, to help you run. You need good arm strength to help you run, because you're powering along with your arms. So working on your strength side of things is really important to at any age, but particularly as we get older. I did mention the bone density, and I've heard of so many people recently who either have osteopenia, which is the stage before osteoporosis, or they're getting osteoporosis. And it's an awful condition. It's when your bones become brittle. All right. So as we get to much older, risk of falling and breaking a bone, particularly hips, is a big, big issue. All right. So the more we can do for our bone density, the better. And the sooner we start, the better. So any of those exercises that make your muscles pull on your bones is going to help your bone density. The other thing that strength training will do is build muscle mass. So again, that's another thing that starts to drop off as we get older. We lose a percentage of muscle mass, and that muscle mass not only gives you tone, all right, which helps you look better, but it boosts your metabolism. So the more muscle mass you have, the more energy you're going to burn, the more energy you're going to keep burning after you've exercised. So that's a great one as well. And as I said, we need those muscles for running. And then coming to the mindfulness training. So with mindfulness, I kind of incorporate there yoga, Tai Chi, any kind of stretching. Most people put Pilates in there as well. I teach Pilates classes, and I would argue that they can often fall into a strength session, because I know for the way I teach Pilates, there's a lot of body weight training in there. You've got to be pretty strong to do Pilates. But it is a slower form of exercise. So those slower forms are really important to incorporate as well. In terms of your running, you're going to get a stronger pelvic floor. And whether you've had children or not, when you hit menopause, those hormonal fluctuations can start to cause issues with incontinence. And it just makes running really unpleasant. So learning to activate and keep that pelvic floor activated is really important if you want to run comfortably. Okay. And it can help with other injury prevention as well, because your pelvic floor works together with your girdle muscles around your midsection, your transverse abdominis. And when all of that is switched on and functioning well, it just gives you really good stability through your body. All right. So if you think of your body, your upper body, lots of bones, your arms, your ribs, your shoulders, your lower body, you've got your legs and your hips. So a lot of bone support at the top and the bottom, but your midsection, you've got your spinal column, and that's actually only there to protect your spinal cord. All right. So you've got a lot of bone at the top, a lot in the middle, at the bottom, and in the middle, you need muscle. All right, because that's all we've got in the middle to support us. So by doing your Pilates, I know you, Andrea, ran a Pilates session last week or the week before, really important for runners. All right, you need that strength around your midsection to support you. And as I said, your pelvic floor links in with your transverse abdominis, that girdle muscle that supports your lower back as well. So, whole heap of stuff there that's really important. The other thing that your mindful exercises are going to give you is a quieter mind. All right. It's going to help you reduce your anxiety. It's going to help you sleep. It's going to help you sleep better. If you have any sleep issues, which is a big thing in menopause, a lot of women find, and it's the stress of everyday life. It's all the things that we've got going on, plus those hormonal changes can all mess with your sleep. And if you've ever had a bad night's sleep or a period of insomnia, you know how debilitating that can be. All right. So that mindful exercise, that slower, stretching, flexible exercise can help quieten your mind and help you sleep. And if you're anything like me, if you sleep better, you will be a much happier person and much nicer to your family. One of the other big things around flexibility, which a lot of people aren't aware of, is by working on our flexibility and our range of motion. All right, so your range of motion is literally how much you can move. You're going to prevent injury. All right, because if I'm stiff and I reach back for something and I hurt, I jar something, how often do you hear of someone who's got, they've got some injury and they go, oh, I was just reaching for something, or, I put my back out when I was bending down to pick something up. If we can work on our range of motion and keep a freer movement through the body, you're going to help prevent those injuries. And then another thing as well with flexibility is that it works on our, it helps prevent arterial stiffness. So I know Jenny's on this call, she works in heart research, and up until menopause, we have a really low risk of heart disease as women. After menopause, we're equaling the men. All right. Now, I don't think we need to be equal with men and everything. So heart disease becomes a really big issue as we get older. Okay. And the thing is, our issues with heart disease are slightly different to men. They tend to get a lot of the clots, which, we can get as well, but quite often it is arterial stiffening that can cause issues for women. So by working on your flexibility and keeping your fascia moving, so your fascia is all the connective tissue between your tendons and your muscles, the more we can keep those things fluid and moving, the better we're going to help with our heart health, really. Yeah. So I mentioned fascia there, and I mentioned tendons. So your tendons, technical quick science lesson, it's the little bit that attaches your muscle to your bone. All right. So you've got if you've ever seen the diagrams of a body, you've got the big red muscle, the body of the muscle, and then you've got that tendon that attaches to the bone. Now, menopausal women tend to get more tendinopathies, so that pain in those tendons. And that's partly just, it's an aging process. Yay, aging. But it's also something that tendons like a regular load. Okay, so the more we use them, the more regularly we use them, the healthier they're going to be. We're going to keep the blood flow going to them. So again, exercise, stretching, flexibility, all these things will help there. And as a runner, you're using your whole body a lot, particularly your feet, your shoulders, the whole body's involved in it, really. So the more we can look after those tendons, the better off you're going to be. So strength and flexibility exercise is going to help go so far in helping you be a better runner, be a healthier runner, and keep you running for longer. All right. If you are a regular exerciser and you know the joy and the benefit that brings, you'll know, well, if you're anything like me, I'm terrified of getting injured because I really don't want to have to stop exercising. All right. So as I said before, there's always something you can do, sore shoulder, work your legs or your tummy or your back. But, we want to try and avoid injury as much as possible, obviously. So really trying to get the strength training and the flexibility training in, with that mindfulness work in with your cardio training. So keep going with your running, with your bike riding, your swimming, kayaking, boxing, any of those things that get your heart rate up. It's recommended that we do, it's 150 minutes a week. So you need to, get that heart rate going. It's really good for your heart health. It's good for your brain health because we're getting more blood flow to the brain, means we're getting more oxygen to the brain. Again, that's going to help with the brain fog that often comes with menopause. So yeah, keep going with your running, but I really urge you to incorporate some strength training. That can be a TheraBand, it can be push-ups. That's your, if you're pushing up your body weight, that's whatever you weigh. It's like lifting a weight in the gym. So you don't have to go to a gym. You just need to find something that works for you. All right. So there was actually a study done in the US over 8 years showing that perimenopausal women who were active had far fewer symptoms, less stress, less depression than women who were inactive. All right, but I think most of us know these things. You do feel better for moving. So I do need to say a bit about exercise and weight loss, because a lot of people sort of think, oh, I need to lose weight. I've got to exercise. And I'm going to say exercise is not going to make you lose weight. Exercise is a crucial part of losing weight, but ultimately, if you need to lose weight, and then I'm not about numbers on a scale, but there are some compelling health reasons. If you are gaining a lot of weight, particularly during menopause and particularly around your midsection, there are some very strong, compelling reasons to address that. So if you do need to lose weight, a change in diet is going to be the biggest impact. The exercise will help. It'll support that weight loss because you're going to build the muscle mass, which is metabolically active and, keeps your metabolism going, burns more energy, keeps you burning for longer. So the exercise is part of that weight loss, but you can't just think, oh, I'll go and do an hour's class and then I'll lose weight, because unfortunately, if you don't change what you're eating, you're not going to out exercise what you're eating. All right. So exercise as part of weight loss, not just for weight loss. If changing your diet and changing your exercise, or sort of adding that exercise, doesn't give you the weight loss that you think it should for the effort you're putting in, that's when you need to start looking at your hormone levels. So that involves blood tests, looking at where you're at with your hormones and other nutrients that you might be missing in your diet. All right. So that's something for a dietitian and a doctor to work with you, if that's something that you need to do. So do keep exercising. I'm not saying don't exercise. As I said in the beginning, exercise is a non-negotiable. All right. You need to do something every day. And I'm loving it at the moment. I mean, everybody's out and about walking, running, kids are out riding their bikes. I think it's absolutely brilliant. That is one of the good things that has potentially come out of this lockdown, is that people are getting out and about more. I know some people might be stuck at their desks a lot more, but I do love seeing people get out and about. And, most people you see out exercising will have a smile on their faces. So, it just goes to show that it really is important. So what else? Yes. Okay. Here we go. Some vitality markers that I was going to give you to try. Those of you on the call who've done my classes will know that I pretty much make everyone at the end of the class get up without using their hands. So if we've done any work on the mat, I'll say, get up without using your hands. Okay, so you can come onto your knees. You don't have to just roll straight up, but it's a sign of your flexibility. It's an indicator of your core strength, being able to get up without using your hands. So if you really struggle with that, I mean, particularly for people who are quite a bit older, you can start with getting up from your chair to standing without sort of pushing off from your chair, and then start going all the way down to the floor and getting up without using your hands. Balance is a key as well. So I talked about bone breaking earlier. As we get older, balance is really important. And this is, again, where yoga and Pilates can really help. I do a lot of balance work in my classes for this reason. Standing on one leg is going to really strengthen your feet, those tiny little muscles in your feet, your proprioceptors in your ankles. That's, you get a sense of where you are in space. And once you can balance quite comfortably on one foot, you can start to try and balance on a cushion, and then slowly start adding, closing your eyes and things like that. But working on your balance, and just stand on one foot and then stand on the other foot, see how you go. And it's a practice thing, but strengthening your feet is going to help you run as well, because your feet really need to work hard when you're running. And I don't know if there are any barefoot runners in this group. Give me a shout out in the chat if there are any barefoot runners. I know there aren't many around. I'm definitely not a barefoot runner, but doing barefoot work and walking around barefoot is really, really beneficial. And again, Pilates, yoga, bar class, all of these things are done barefoot. And if you think about the structure of your foot, it has some beach running. Awesome. Yeah. That's really hard. Good on you. Our feet have got loads of joints in them, and we spend so much time encasing our feet in these lovely cushioned shoes. That's only some of it. But if, as much as possible, try and take your shoes off and walk around barefoot and actually move your feet. You know, come up on your toes, roll through your feet, get all the way up onto the balls of your feet, press your toenails down, stretch the top of your foot. All right, get all these things moving and mobile. Again, the fascia and the ligaments and all those things are going to start getting more supple and just moving better, so that when you use them, when you put them under that pressure of a run, they're going to be in a better condition to help you do that. So just finally, I'm going to finish off with the 4 key mobility areas that you need to be aware of. So again, that range of motion I spoke about earlier, the twisting and the turning. 4 key areas in the body, starting at the top, the shoulder girdle. All right, our shoulders are really big open joints. It's the only joint in your body that is going to go all the way up. It's going to come forward and back, and it's going to go around. It's a really open joint. And what is holding it in place is muscle. What's holding your arm in place is muscle and ligament tissue. So we really need to be careful of our shoulders. I mentioned earlier that I nearly gave myself a frozen shoulder last year, which absolutely terrified me, because a frozen shoulder is where you can't actually lift your arm. All right. So people with a frozen shoulder, takes about 18 months to go away. It does go away, but 18 months is a long time. So there are 2 causes of frozen shoulder. One is through injury, which I'm putting mine down to, because the other one, the Chinese actually call 50-year-old shoulder. In other words, it's a menopause thing. It's an age-related, hormone-changing issue. All right. So watch your shoulders. Be kind to your shoulders. The next mobility area is the thorax, the thoracic region. So that's that twisting I was talking about earlier. Make sure, again, I end every class with a twist, because we just keep moving. You want to have that freedom of movement. Third area is your lumbar spine, so your lower spine and your pelvic area. So this is one to be aware of with running. Running is this motion, all right? There's no opening up of the hips or anything like that. So I started teaching bar classes a few years ago, and I've been amazed at the benefit of bar class to my running and just my general flexibility and mobility, because it's based on ballet moves. And if you think about ballet, is all about turning out. So you turn your feet out, you turn your knees out, you turn your hips out. So you're going to get more mobility and strength there. It's also awesome for glute strength, which is good for running. Okay. And then the final mobility area is your foot and ankle region, which I spoke about just then, with, you know, keeping your feet moving, keep your ankles moving, try and do as much barefoot work as possible. All right. So I've given you a whole lot of information there. I can carry on for ages about exercise. I get a bit excited about this because it just does have such a massive range of benefits for your body, for your mind, for your gut, for your well-being. So as I said, it's a non-negotiable. Find something you enjoy doing and make sure you do something every day. All right. It doesn't have to be a big run every day, but just do something every day. Make sure you incorporate cardio. So you're running, you're kayaking, you're swimming, whatever you want to do. Strength work is really, really important. A couple of strength sessions a week. All right. And it doesn't have to be a whole hour. You can get an awful lot done in 20 minutes to half an hour. If you're really efficient and not like those kids in the gym. I always laugh when they sit there and they're all scrolling around on their phones, and I think they're probably going to go home and say they spent an hour in the gym, but they actually didn't do much work. So we're all under time pressure. We can get a lot done in 20 minutes to half an hour, okay? Maybe even just start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but just do some strength work. And then do try and incorporate some kind of mindful flexibility training as well. It's great for your mind. It's really good for your stretching, your movement, your flexibility, all those kinds of things. So hopefully I've convinced you that all of these things are really important. There are heaps of resources out there to find, training programs. As Andrew mentioned, I run fitness classes. I do Pilates classes and bar classes. At the moment, they're all via Zoom. And I will offer a discount to anybody who wants to Zoom in on classes. Andrew will be sending out the email, and I'll pop a discount code in there. You can buy sort of 5 or 10 class packs and Zoom on in. I know there are a few people in this call who do Zoom in already. So yeah, as I said, there's so much out there that you can access in terms of your training. Most people find it beneficial to, Zoom in on a particular class or attend a running group or something like that, just because you get the community, you get the that commitment. It's like, it's 7 a.m. I've got to go and join my group. So that has benefits there as well. But if you want to do stuff in your own time, that works too. The main thing is that you do it. All right. So remember, your choices matter. Is choosing to get up and go and do some exercise, is that going to take you towards your goal, or is staying in bed going to take you away from your goal? So if you can try and think of, a lot of things in life, we have so many choices. We do have control over a fair number of things in our lives, and just try and remember, is this taking me towards my goal or away from my goal? All right, that is about all I have for you at the moment. If you have any questions, pop them into the chat. I don't know if any have come up as I've been talking at you. Intolerance. Yeah. Can you read it out to me? Because I can only just.
Yeah, sure. Kirsten has just asked, you mentioned a possible intolerance to dairy as you hit menopause. Are there other foods we need to consider as we age?
Okay, I'll start another whole hour session on that. Yes. Oh my goodness, food is huge. So
please don't say alcohol, because I'm about to go and have a gin and tonic. So as long as alcohol supports menopause, I'm all on board.
I won't say anything then.
Kidding.
Look, yes, food is the basis of everything, really, because anything you put into your body, whether it's medicine, whether it's alcohol, whether it's caffeine, whether it's food, everything has an impact on your body. Yeah. So the better choices you can make on how you eat, that ultimately the better your body's going to function, the better your gut microbiome is going to be. As I said, there's a whole module in my menopause course on food. Dairy and gluten tend to be the two that are the most commonly reported ones for menopausal women. And I'm not talking about celiac disease, which is a disease and really needs to be taken very, very seriously. But gluten intolerance can be one that causes issues. And look, if in a Western society, we tend to eat an awful lot of gluten. I know Penny's on the call, and she's far more qualified in this than I am, but we tend to eat more white carbohydrates than we really need in our Western diet. So Penny's one. So yeah, gluten and dairy are the two most commonly reported ones. And look, I'm eating yogurt again. I just don't eat as much as I used to. Dairy or lactose. If you already have it, sorry, I didn't get that full comment. Can you read that one out to me, Andrea?
Robin is asking, do you mean dairy or lactose? Robin is lactose intolerant, so she chooses lactose-free dairy and soy milk, which she needs because she has osteopenia.
Yeah. Look, it probably is the lactose in there. And if you're lactose intolerant already, I know someone else on this call is lactose intolerant. Cut it out, but do make sure that you're getting your calcium from somewhere else. All right, because we do need calcium for our bone strength. Almonds are great for calcium. Yeah, lots of foods. Sesame seeds have got calcium in them as well. Dark green leafy veg. All right, load up on your dark green leafy veg. But yeah, be mindful of your calcium. And there was a study done a while back on breast cancer, and a lot of Asian countries, women don't have the same breast cancer rates that we do. However, when they come and live, or when they start having a westernized diet, their breast cancer rates start to go up and equal ours. And there has been a link there to dairy consumption, because in our Western culture, we do tend to have more dairy, which the Asian cultures don't. Don't take that as medical advice. It is just something that has been noticed and noted. So just being aware that you get your calcium from other sources. Yeah. With any other
good
questions?
advice. Yeah, I strongly second that. I think that those studies have found that dairy quite possibly plays a link in prostate cancer rates too. So it's not just aging women who are affected by dairy, but aging men as well. So I think all of us moderating our dairy and gluten intake is very good advice.
You know what? I'm all about moderation for pretty much anything. Going to that gin and tonic, have a gin and tonic, but it's about moderation, and moderation for anything. I think you can run too much and get injured. You can eat too much junk food or whatever, but if you're going to have that gin and tonic, sit and enjoy it. Have it consciously, really enjoy it, savor it. Just take your time, and the same with a piece of chocolate or whatever it is that your indulgence is. We'll get into a whole other range there, but all of those things there's so many different lifestyle factors that impact how we experience menopause. So yes. Any other questions?
There's nothing in the chat. I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned earlier your menopause course. Are you able to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yep, it is called Unpause, the Natural Menopause Program. It is an 8-module course that basically sets out to educate women on the choices that they can make. And again, the choices that take you towards or away from your menopausal experience, or sort of improving that, because menopause is a very personal experience. Whilst we will all go through it, we will have varying degrees of intensity of our symptoms. Some won't have symptoms, some have more. So it's a matter of educating women of all the things that they can try to implement into their lifestyle. And as I said, there's diet, there's sleep, there's exercise, there's mindset, I've just drawn a blank on all the others, but there are 8 modules that look at all the different things that you can do to build up your own toolkit. So my business is called the Wellbeing Toolkit. The idea is that you have this toolkit of things that you can do for yourself to improve your health, improve your experience of menopause. And things are going to change as you go through that time. Menopause can last 10 to 15 years, that whole, from the start to the end of it. So, having that knowledge to affect your own changes and feel better in yourself. So that is what Unpause is all about. It is about educating you in what you can do to change your own experience of menopause. So
that's fantastic. Much needed, I think. Thank you, Anya. We've got about 8 minutes to go before 7 o'clock. Does anybody have any last minute questions? You're welcome to pop them in the chat, or if you're feeling brave, just unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, I'll just let you know that in about 2 weeks' time, there will be another one in the Slow Learner series. There'll be a session on sleep. So Anya's already touched on that tonight, how important sleep is just in our wellness journey globally, but also very much as we're navigating menopause. So look out for those details. They'll be included in the email that you get. Anya, we've just had a question come through. Anne-Marie says, do you have an opinion on whether we should do burpees? I can answer that. Definitely not. Never, ever. Not in 100 years. Absolutely not. End of story. Any comments on that, Anya?
Well, we're going to have to disagree on this one, because I think burpees are awesome. But I think there might actually be somebody on this course who once said to me, because there was something on Facebook. They said, oh, you know, if you were an exercise, what would you be? And I'd be a burpee. And somebody said, no, don't be a burpee because nobody will like you. So I became a deadlift instead. Look, I love burpees because they work everything. They get your heart rate going, their strength, their core, that, you know, they're everything in a package. I just don't get people who don't like burpees. But anyway, no, you don't have to do burpees unless you're in my class. No, and look, there are options as well. You know, you can step them out, you can jump them out, you can add a push-up, you can not add a push-up, you know, whatever works for you. But yeah, if you really, really hate them, or if you're injured, you know, don't do them. You've got it, because you do have to be careful with a burpee, okay? It's a pretty full-on exercise, which is kind of why I love it. But if you're injured, or, you know, especially if you're core weakness, then maybe avoid them. That was a very roundabout way. I'm trying very hard not to get out my inner German and go, yes, you will do burpees.
Robin asks, how do you manage the fatigue associated with the lack of sleep, which comes from menopause? Any tips on that? That's a big one.
Yeah. Look, sleep is a huge one, and sleep needs to be tackled. There's so many things around sleep that you can implement to improve your sleep. All right, you can improve your sleep if that's an issue. Dealing with the fatigue, you know, I guess maybe just trying to do more of, start having a routine around your bedtime, start trying to wind down of an evening, and be kind to yourself. You know, if you're feeling really tired, just sit down for half an hour, try and, you know, if you do any meditation or some mindfulness exercise, any of those kinds of things can really help give you a bit of an energy boost again. But yeah, look, sleep is not something that is fixed overnight, excuse the pun, but there are a lot of things you can do to help improve your sleep, and not only the quantity of sleep, but the quality of it. And once you do, then that starts to obviously help with your fatigue. But making sure that you're getting a lot of nutrients, really good varied diet, your B vitamins, all those things can help with your fatigue. But be kind to yourself. Give yourself a break. Have a rest. Sit down. You know.
Okay, good advice. Lee asks, she's heard that a good chocolate milk after a long run is good for rehydration. Is milk better than water, and what's the extra benefit from the milk? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm not a dietitian. Yes, I have heard a lot of people do the chocolate milk. I might defer to Penny on that one.
Well, yeah, I know chocolate milk has quite a cult status in the running community as our kind of recovery drink. Personally, I tend to drink coffee, but I know lots of people like the chocolate milk especially after a long run. And the theory, like yourself, Anya, I'm not a nutritionist, but the theory is that the milk the protein in the milk is very good for the muscle recovery. And the cocoa beans in the chocolate has a bit of an anti-inflammatory impact. Plus, it's just sweet. It replaces all the glycogen that we've just lost, and it tastes awesome. So I think personally, I would say that as long as your diet is really well balanced, you are exercising regularly, then that one chocolate milk after a long run is unlikely to do any damage and possibly going to do quite a lot of good. But with nutrition and running, there's an awful lot of rehearsal that goes into it. Just like you rehearse your running, you rehearse your long runs, you actually rehearse your nutrition as well. So it's often a case of just trying things out until you find what particularly works for you.
Yeah. The chocolate milk's also quite a good, it's a lower sugar option than other sort of flavored milks. But yeah, I imagine
really?
it's the protein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Robin says she loves chocolate milk after a long run. And a couple of people are commenting that melatonin is quite helpful with their sleep routines as well. So that's good to know. Penny says, from a nutritional perspective, it depends on lots of other factors. Penny is our resident nutritionist and counsellor. For those with hormonal issues, it's not the best option, but agree protein is important. Okay, so what we'll certainly do is line up a session with Penny in coming weeks to talk about nutrition in running, and also just about running as therapy, and lots of therapy options, including supporting yourself with food and mood. Hi, Pen. You want to give us a wave? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. That almost brings us to time, 7 p.m. I'm really, really grateful for your time and your attention tonight. Thank you for honouring this idea. Thank you very much to Anya, not only for a lifelong friendship, but a really, really superb session this evening. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did.
Andrea, thank you so much for having me. And
Thanks,
thank you,
Andrea.
everyone,
Bye.
for listening and all your questions. Stay well, everybody. Thank you.